Hello, and welcome to Read 570. This is a simple introductory video just to help you get started in the class. Each week we will have a video lecture that will introduce what we're doing that week, some strategies to approach each week, and walk you through just the different activities. Today I'd like to introduce you to a few key pieces that will make this class work much easier for you. One is our Q&A. I know if you've taken courses before, you're familiar with this. In this course, I really want to encourage you to use it, to ask questions, provide support, share resources and examples that you think are helpful, and just connect with each other. This is many of you in this course are in our reading and literacy concentration, or perhaps in the curriculum and instruction. If you're not familiar and you haven't gone on to the Moodle homeroom and checked out your cohort corners, please do so. Again, there's great folks there, connect to each other, and it's a great networking site. Next, you'll notice a pre-class activity. You'll want to click on this and select which age group you'd like to focus on in these 7 weeks. Again, this is only 7 weeks. It's not a lifetime commitment, but allows you to really think about, if there's one particular age group that you would like to help gather some best practices, a better understanding, especially if you're a reading specialist or if you're working in that age group, this is where you'll have a chance to focus in for those particular type of assignments. Whoops, let's go back. Next, I'd like to share with you the overview of class essentials. You'll notice here that there's information about the faculty teaching this course, all the rubrics used for the assignments in this course, but let's really talk about this course. So in this course, we have the textbook, Reading Assessment. You'll notice it's an older textbook, but I intentionally chose it, one, because honestly, I can't find another one that does a better job of covering the key aspects of reading assessment that we'll be looking at in here for a better price, as well as just the content themselves. I will be supplementing the reading with resources on some more current issues, for example, looking at assistive technology, discussing what many states have put in place to support our struggling learners that have dyslexia. There's many new rules on that. So I will supplement as needed, but this is an excellent text, one for your library. The learning goals for this course, there's 5 of them. And I won't read them to you, but just kind of talk a little bit about them. We're going to be looking at starting really why we do reading assessment. Assessment can kind of get a bad rap, but it's really about how do we individualize and support the learners that we have. And we can't do that if we don't know who they are, what their strengths are, what are their areas that they need additional support or limitation. So we really look at student-focused assessment and assessment for learning. Second, we're going to be talking about a wide range of developmentally appropriate research-based strategies around the various aspects of reading that really target our specific audience, in particular, the area, for example, if you're teaching early childhood, kindergarten, first, second, or third grade, we might look at more like basic mastering skills versus if you're teaching upper elementary or high school, we might be looking at decoding the text and comprehension. So focusing on purpose, connecting it to strategies and approaches, and also looking at supporting our students with dyslexia. Thirdly, we'll be talking about the different tools and practices. So again, one of the reasons I think assessment can get such a bad rap is the standardized assessment and high stakes assessment we've been seeing. We will be talking and digging into how we put together assessments, teacher-based assessments, as well as assessments like inventories, and how to best select the ones that meet the needs for our purposes and for our learners. We'll also be looking at our own mindsets of growth mindsets and issues around literacy, contemporary issues today that are impacting the success of our students, and how our systems in schools are organized, and what we can do as leaders to support literacy. And then the last one is how we collaborate, especially as a reading specialist or interventionist. You're going to be working with other educators. As all educators, we work with our families and our students. So the focus is how do we support our struggling readers? Each week, we have learning objectives that help meet those course learning goals. Week 1 really will focus on looking at our own reading behaviors and talking about engaging in the big idea. So I want to take a minute to pause this and go to our syllabi to give you a better approach. As I mentioned before, this is a 7-week course, so we'll start off by looking at purposes and types of assessment. From there, we'll be going into different approaches and methods, focusing in on assessment as instruction through this textbook does such a great job on talking about a very clear 4-step process. We'll really dig into the various types of informal reading inventories out there, how to select ones that are going to be best for your needs, and with a target on our early literacy. From there, we'll look at word identification and fluency, comprehension and unlocking the text, into our final week, where it's really a large literacy assessment leadership final. And I'm going to go into that and talk a little bit about how grades are set up for this course, as well as what the big assignments are. As I mentioned, you will be applying through weekly assignments the knowledge and skills in what we're calling professional practices. At times, these will be individual. Other times, we'll be working with a colleague or with a group. We will have weekly forums, individual reflective essays, and the final is 15% of the grade, and that's really pulling everything together. Let's take a look at a few other things just to point out. We use the same late policy as all the other courses in this program. I already spoke about how the Q&A is something we'll be using. All forums, unless otherwise stated, are always due with an initial post due on that Thursday of the week, with 2 or more responses due that Sunday at 11 p.m. We have 2 types of forums in here. One's a leadership forum, and that's where you have a chance to really engage in the readings and the resources. And the other one is really collaborating on practice, where you have a chance to provide peer support and feedback on collaborative professional practices before actually posting them. The professional practices, as I mentioned before, is really where you apply the knowledge and skills and show evidence through both the individual and group. The reflective essay is really just that. It's an individual assignment that you have a chance to really think about and make connections on how does this impact my own practice? What questions am I curious about? It's a private exchange between you and I. And then the final, I do want to spend just a little bit of time. I like to know for myself where I'm going. So this final serves as both an embedded assessment for your degree in the MSED program. If you're seeking a degree, our program learning outcomes number 1, which is curriculum and making informed instructional practice decisions, or number 5, which is the leadership and collaboration. So if you're in the degree, for the final course Ed 503B, the portfolio, where you pull artifacts together, this final assessment would be great to use as an artifact in your Ed 503B for 1 program learning outcome 1 or 5. For those of you seeking endorsement, it is also part of the embedded assessment for Standard 3 on reading assessment. So this final course is one that you really are going to be building up to. that shows evidence of meeting the learning outcomes. The first one is taking what we know as the good reading behaviors that are aligned to the Common Core reading standards for one grade level. This will be one of your choice. So again, you're getting to select what standard you really want to focus in on at what grade level, with a vision towards and a intentionality towards the specific reading needs identified. So whether these are struggling readers, second language learners, students with dyslexia, or a combination, obviously. And then create a chart that clearly shows this correlation that you would share with other educators at that grade level. This will be clearly explained and broken down as we get there, but just, here's where we're going. The second part is creating a communication plan for that same grade level that you would share with families. And the third is a resource page, really, of best practices and approaches that could be used for a target grade level. This can all be the same grade level, although it does not. Well, it's not necessary. And the last is really looking at the Reading Standard 3, and it's an Oregon reading standard, but it's based on the International Reading Standard, so it would be very similar across different states on reading assessment and learning objectives for this course. So this is the chance to do kind of a self-assessment. And that, my friends, is really what the course is organized around. I encourage you, I'm not going to make you sick here, but I encourage you to really go through and look at the syllabus, the technology, what's required for it, as well as other academic policies. And that's it. So start with the overview, review the syllabi, get started about this course and the rubrics. And again, each week we'll have a short video that explains and walks you through that week. Have a great class.